85 consecutive weeks, and the streak is over. I would like to formally apologise to all of our Gaming Lover fans for no episode of the Gaming Lovers podcast last week due to my insides. How should I explain it?
Exploding. Yep, everywhere.
Fetch the Glen 20!
The Gaming Lovers podcast with Brendo and Jem. G'day and welcome to episode 86 of the Gaming Lovers podcast. I'm Jem.
I'm Brendo, and we are the Gaming Lovers. The Game Awards this week with its big news, big reveals, big world premieres.
World premiere.
But they're not the only ones who have got some big news to drop on you.
If you've been following us on social media, you may already know the news. But for those who haven't, we are excited to announce that the Gaming Lovers is growing.
We're going to become more than just the Gaming Lovers. There's going to be 3 Ps in the pod. It's going to be the gaming family. Brendo and Jem having player 3 next year.
Yes.
So exciting news for all.
And start sending in those tips for those who already do have families as far as introducing kids to games and how to juggle both lifestyles.
I don't have enough time for the games I want to play now. Oh, goodness.
Oh, it's going to be interesting. But we're super excited. This episode of the Gaming Lovers podcasts, as alluded to, we're going to be talking about the Game Awards with all the exciting news that's been dropped as well as the results and sharing whether we necessarily agreed with it or not. More on that very, very soon. But right now,
let's just say Jem had all of her goose eggs in one basket.
It's time for Gaming Goals.
Gaming Goals. It's like a rap battle, like a dance-off. It was very Glee, wasn't it? Like when you got... Oh, never mind.
Very Glee.
I don't know anything about Glee. I'm not confessing that on air. Oh, no. What have I done? Gaming Goals.
All right. You've had 2 weeks, basically, of gaming, right?
Okay. Just to elaborate, I was severely ill with a horrible bout of a stomach flu. And as a result, I was actually quite dehydrated.
So bad we had to go to the hospital.
Many, many days as well.
Yes.
In recovery. I always... As weird as this sounds, I'm not the healthiest man on the planet, but I work pretty darn hard at my job. I work quite a bit of overtime here and there. And so I've thought, one of these days I'm going to be quite sick and have to have, 3 or 4 sick days all at home. I'm going to get so much gaming done. It's going to be fantastic. Let me give you a hint. Don't get dehydrated beforehand because I had severe headaches. My eyes were incredibly sensitive to light and I had no energy. So on all my sick days, there was 0 gaming.
Yes.
So although we have had 2 weeks between episodes, a first for the Gaming Lovers, our streak's over. Weekly episodes since we begun and it's been ruined. Sorry.
It doesn't help that the first day you got sick and severely dehydrated, it was like 40 degrees Celsius, which I think is about 110 Fahrenheit.
Ooh.
Pretty hot.
Pretty nasty.
Yeah.
So we've had 2 weeks. 1 week has had no gaming for me at all. So it's going to be basically a normal episode. That's all I'm trying to get to. It took me a long time to explain that. But we're basically at a net no gain or loss. We're just at a neutral gaming goals for this week.
All right.
And I have been playing Greedfall, of all things.
Hey, you said you would finish it.
Unfinished business a few episodes ago. We were talking about games that we had abandoned mid-playthrough. And so I made a declaration and maybe got bullied into the fact that I wasn't allowed to play Jedi Fallen Order until I beat Greedfall by somebody else in this booth right now.
Hey, if I have to wait till I finish Pokemon, you have to wait till you finish Greedfall.
Now, I have to admit, I don't know if it was just the break. I don't know if I started Greedfall at the wrong time earlier this year, but I have been enjoying Greedfall a little bit more than I did previously.
I'm glad to hear that. What has changed your mind since?
To be honest, I don't have a perfectly scientific answer.
Okay.
However, I think part of why I got so unenthused about Greedfall earlier is that I was doing a lot of the side quests, and a lot of the area names are quite bland. A lot of the characters talk a lot about politics, and I think what I did was I did part of one side quest, and then I looked to see what was nearby, and it might be a different side quest.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this step on this one. And so there's no continuity between the quests.
Yep.
So I felt like I was just walking around talking to people. I had no idea who was who. I didn't know what they mentioned the natives mentioned some weird word that I'm supposed to go talk to their, I know what they are now, but they're Doneigard or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is, but I'll just go to the cursor and speak to whoever it's hovering above their head. That's the easy way to do it.
Yep.
So I think that I just wasn't getting engaged. I liked the character side quests for your party members themselves because they felt more like actual quest lines, whereas the rest just felt like I was just walking around talking to people, and I had no idea if I was doing a good answer or a bad answer to half these people.
Mm-hmm.
This time, starting it partway through now, I've kept my save, and I'm focusing on seeing each quest line through to the end before I move on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that continuity, I'm starting to understand who people are. I'm knowing who recurring characters are when they're mentioned. The fact that some guy's name is Dunkass is probably my favourite name out of all the native people. Dunkass. What a great name. Anytime he's mentioned, I'm all about Dunkass. So that's fantastic. So I have been enjoying the quests more. I think being a little bit more ruthless as far as I like to play this style of game, dealing with consequences of my actions.
Yep.
I don't feel like I have to get the perfect result to each quest line.
Yep.
If I get one that's good, fine, I'll deal with it. It may not be the best. Such and such may have got away with part of his scheme that we were trying to stop, but we still got a net, positive result. I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if I cheese the occasional person off with a failed charisma check. If they are talking to me that way, they deserve a knife in the belly. Things like this. I think I'm finding it more enjoyable because the problem I found with Greedfall to one aspect was it feels like you have to play it a certain way.
But you don't have to. The whole point of games that give you choices is to let you choose which path you take. There are always games that lean a certain way that kind of reward you for being more of a good guy than a bad guy, usually.
Mm-hmm.
Usually.
I don't disagree with that.
But there's still choice. There is still that freedom. If you want to be a total jerk, you can.
Yep.
Most of the time, though, they really kind of punish you for making those choices.
Yes. And another thing, after playing this straight after The Outer Worlds, where no matter what skills you have invested in, there will be benefits in dialogue in particular.
Yeah.
In this, you always play the charismatic convincer.
Oh, to the point no one could
Coercion.
argue. No one could argue. By the end, I had perfect every single time. It was 100% chance. There was no failure. It was great.
In Greedfall, I've always tried to build different characters to you for a different experience.
Yeah.
And, I might have science where I can use explosives to blow open a cracked wall and find a different way to my objective.
Yeah.
But when it comes to dialogue, in this game, it's either here's a unacceptable choice, here's the bad choice, and if you want the good choice, you need that charisma points that you haven't invested in, Brendo. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to get that one. Just deal with the medium choice. That's as best as you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To me, it just made sense to have points in charisma. If you're playing as a diplomat, that's your job. In my mind, you're supposed to be silver-tongued, and they make comments in the dialogue in different conversations that your character is supposed to be quick with their wit and always know what to say. So if you don't put points in there, frankly, I feel like that should already have a bit of a boost because that's how they have painted your character. Anyways.
No, it's all good. I'm just, it has it's not...
It's not perfect. It's just fun.
It is just fun. I'm not expecting it to be a perfect game. I am just leaning a bit on those negatives, but I think that was part of the reason why I stopped playing.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to explain that. I'm considering respecing my character. I believe I can do that in this game, right?
You can do it.
I couldn't remember how, so I haven't done it yet. I probably should have. But Greedfall is being enjoyed.
Nice.
I just think they could have done one thing a little bit better.
Just one?
I think could have done many things better, but
Yeah.
this one thing, you are trying to be basically the glue holding the different factions away from war, and that's not how glue works. I mixed my metaphor. I'm sorry, but you have your statistics of this nationality, this nation, this people, this group, and their feelings towards you.
Yes.
I think this game would have been better if instead of those opinions towards you, you had the group's opinions towards each other that you were trying to smooth out the wrinkles in.
And try to improve relations.
I think that would have been a better application of that instead of just, I brought the wrong party member for this quest, so I got a -1, but immediately finished a quest, so I've got +2 with this group. So, cool, I guess. I got penalised before I even did anything. That's nice to know. Sure. I just think it would have been a bit cooler if you were actually working as the peacemaker between other nations, between other groups, instead of just going, hey, everyone, like me, befriend me, and, that way everyone gets along because I'm the important one.
I think certain things, depending on your choices through the story, though, too, you'll see that come into play a little bit.
As I become the Emperor of Teofredy, the all-powerful.
Not quite.
Cool.
But, there are different endings. So depending on how you choose to influence and impact all these different factions can change the outcome of the whole story. So I don't want to go into too much spoiler territory.
No, of course not. I do have the ace up my sleeve. If I start to lose interest again, I'm just going to cheese off all of my party members and try to get them all killed. Thumbs up. That's my backup gaming goal for this week. What about yourself? What have you been enjoying, my dear wife, over the past 2 weeks, I guess?
Pokemon. Lots and lots and lots of Pokemon. I've officially completed all 8 gyms. Yes. Thank you very much. My personal record has been broken again.
That's it.
I have not quite yet reached the level high enough to challenge the champion, so I'm grinding a bit in the wild, trying to catch Pokemon I haven't caught and level my go-to team up so that they're sufficiently ready.
I haven't actually asked you this, but I've seen you leveling, and you said you had to level yourself up for the final challenges. Is that a hard cap or just something you've imposed on yourself? Do they say, hey, the Pokemon's on guard, you can't catch them? Is it sort of like that sort of thing where they say you can't enter this league gym unless you're this level?
I haven't tried because there's a registration desk when you get to Wyndham, which is like London, and I keep getting a little reminder thing in the corner saying, check in. I probably could, but I would rather be at least equal level to the champion, if not higher, just to make that fight easier. It just seems like the smarter thing to do. And plus, I blitzed through quite a few gyms in a row where some people spend their time really trying to catch every Pokemon and leveling up in those wild areas as well as the different routes between cities. And I may have gone through some of those really fast because I wanted to get through gyms. So everyone plays differently, but this is just, I feel like it's important to make sure my team is ready. We're facing our big challenge.
Well, a lot of these Pokemon games do have an extra bunch of stuff to do once you become champion of the region. Yeah. So the game's not over yet.
No, I know. But for me, once I beat that champion, that's what the game, that means I've beaten it, right?
The credits will roll,
Okay,
no
good.
problem.
Good.
We have talked about your MVPs of your team, including your James Bond chameleon.
Yes.
Who's the unappreciated member of your team? Who's not the MVP, but the LVP, I guess, the least valuable Pokemon on your team? Who's just there for being a mascot, if nothing else?
I don't know if I'd call any of them mascots because I try to have enough different types that way whatever weakness or strength I'm facing, I have something to exploit. But one that I need to level up more because it hasn't been summoned as much of late is Phalanx, which is this, it looks like a giant caterpillar kind of thing, but it's actually 6 or 7 little helmeted balls with feet that are all individual fighters, but they move in synchronization. So it's my fighting type. He's pretty strong, but at the same time, he only comes out when I really need a fighting type to combat ones with that weakness. So
Phalanx.
yes.
Like a little phalanx of Roman centurions.
Yep.
So cute.
Gotta love the puns. So that's where I am at. Haven't really had time for anything else between taking care of you and other baby stuff and Christmas around the corner. It is Chaos City.
Chaos City.
Yes. So I'm just happy focusing on the one game and appreciating the fact that I am still getting stuff done at least. So I will share what my goal is at the end of the episode as far as that.
As always. Well, in the meantime, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with a little bit of state of play as well was this past week.
Yes.
PlayStation dropped one bit of information in particular that I'm pretty excited about. And also all the fun stuff, all the awards from the Game Awards 2019.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. Want to join the conversation? Visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side. And you could be featured in the next podcast.
Honk, honk.
It's back again. I can hear it in my head.
I love how the rest of the world is just as obsessed with Untitled Goose Game as we are. Oh my goodness. So much we want to talk about. Before we get to the Game Awards specifically, let's talk about PlayStation State of Play. Because the very first thing on the show, Untitled Goose Game, making its way to PlayStation and other consoles, I believe.
That's right. Goose is back in action on other consoles now. You can get trophies with Goose, and he will probably steal them before you can put them on your shelf, I would imagine. Yes, very cool that Goose is Goosemania running wild, let me tell you.
I feel like proud parents. Even though we don't personally know the guys at House, we kind of wish we did. But being fellow Melburnians, we're just so proud of you guys. So anyways, I know we've rambled on about the Goose Game lots.
Now,
and there'll be more.
State of Play, PlayStation have done several of these. I know in particular because I streamed the wrong episode and thought, hang on, I know all these games have already been announced. Got 10 minutes into it and went, this looks very familiar. Realised I was watching the wrong thing. But the good news is, look, Goose may be a scary, occasionally, persistent, troublesome little creature. But so can something called the Nemesis. And Resident Evil 3 Remake has been officially revealed. Nemesis will be even more aggressive at pursuing you than Mr. X was in Resident Evil 2. So holy cow, be careful what you wish for, because I've always wanted a Resident Evil 3 remake and now I'm excited.
How good does Jill look though?
Jill, thankfully, after all these years, she has reassessed her wardrobe choices and has decided pants, much more tactical when escaping a crumbling city filled with zombies and other creatures than a miniskirt and a boob tube. So much better choice for Jill. Carlos's hair can finally be rendered in a full fro. That's never looked better. And the whole gang's here. We got Nikolai, we got Mikhail, we got Nemesis, we got Brad Vickers, who, oh boy, he's going to have a violent death in this era. Can't wait.
Unless they change it, like they have tweaked things just to subvert expectations.
Yes. Now, they did actually subvert expectations because they started their announcement about the Resident Evil stuff showing their 4-on-1 multiplayer game, Resident Evil Resistance, whatever it is, and said this has a single-player component and revealed that to be Resident Evil 3, and they're going to be coupled together and, you know.
A nice little neat package. So you can do multiplayer as well as a single campaign. I think that's so cool.
So they bloody tricked me. I didn't expect that to happen, but good stuff,
Totally.
Capcom. Stay on this path because... Yeah, anyway, Resident Evil has never been better. Let's put it that way. I have enjoyed a lot of good Resident Evil this week in particular.
Yes. And they were nominated for Game of the Year with Resident Evil 2. Let's jump into the Game Awards and the nominees and who won. We're going to blitz through these and then later on get to all the fun special announcements, which is probably slightly more why we watch the Game Awards. I mean, as fun as it is to get the announcements of who's won, there's always some pretty incredible surprises that come along with it. So
yeah, we're just going to focus on the main awards.
Yes.
Some of them are a bit secondary, I guess you could say.
yes.
And there are times during an award ceremony that you're just like, yeah, I'm not interested in this. Can we just move along, please?
Everyone has different interests though too.
And then
there
Green Day shows up and you're just like, no, come on. Come on, guys.
There are some people who are very excited to see Green Day. It may not have been us, but there were other people. So for Game of the Year, let's go straight to...
Oh, straight to the big one.
Yes.
Because we're probably going to be talking about this a little bit.
Yes. This is, I think, slightly controversial, but, it is fan-voted. There's
Partly fan-voted.
True.
80 or 90%, I can't remember the statistic, is a panel of pretty much every major reviewer out there. IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, I don't know. All those sort of websites, all those sort of news locations,
Yep.
they all put in their votes, and the fan vote makes up the last 10% or so. So a lot of it is critical acclaim.
Well, I think everyone was a bit worried that because of the guy that basically runs and has created the Game Awards.
Who I've called Jeff Knightley, I'm pretty sure, on this podcast. There's no N. It's Jeff Keighley.
Keighley. He's basically, well, not quite besties, but very close with Hideo Kojima and made that very publicly known in the past. So I think everyone was a bit like, oh, is he going to be giving him, all the awards? But no.
This was actually a very competitive field too.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of these games I've either played and loved or want to play and already love.
Yes. So in the nominees, there was Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, The Outer Worlds, and taking home the prize, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Sneaking up like a sneaky little ninja from the rooftops.
Because this is such a polarizing game because obviously you adore it. It is so not my cup of tea though. I can appreciate how beautiful the game is and how well it's made, but those type of punishing games are so not my thing.
I agree. Now that's fine, but you say I adored it. There were times I wanted to just throw it out the window. But Sekiro is great gameplay-wise. You just have to be good enough to handle it at times. But if you fail, it's your fault. I make no excuses. It is brutally difficult.
Yep.
But the gameplay is so tight. Exploration, the combat, the exploration again, maybe. The overarching story is pretty good. I think, based on this field, really, if any one of these 6 games won, I couldn't argue that they didn't deserve it. Except if Death Stranding won, in which case I would have said, robbed! This is rigged! Jeff Keighley's got his fingers in the pie again.
You almost wonder if he deliberately tried to stay away from it so that it wouldn't be, have that kind of controversy linked with it. Other games that have won, but with other companies and such, Control has won a lot of Game of the Year awards through other places, maybe not the
IGN,
official.
I believe, gave their Game of the Year to Control. So, I mean, that's got accolades galore. Death Stranding, some people say, is one of the best games ever.
And some people say it's the worst game ever. It's
Some
very
people-
polarizing.
Very interesting. Resident Evil 2, one of the front runners, one of the best games I have played this year. Whether it is my Game of the Year is hard to tell.
Now, some people argue, though, because it's not an original IP, that maybe it doesn't deserve to be in this list. It's a complete remake, though. It's a tough one to call because, yes, it's not completely original, but it's been rebuilt from the ground up and they have changed the gameplay and made some twists and turns to make it fresh enough to feel like a new game.
We have argued this point back and forth ever since our remakes, remasters, and repainted episode that we did. I think it's a brand new game based on an old skeleton. basically. If it won, I would not complain because I had such a good time playing that game this year. Smash Brothers Ultimate has basically demolished everything fighting game-wise ever and has got so much love because of the wide amount of franchises it encompasses. It is a love letter to gaming, and as a result, I don't think you could argue that that doesn't deserve a Game of the Year award.
Well, it won Best Fighting Game for 2019, so very deserved. And I think, honestly, it didn't have much competition.
Oh, look,
this year.
Jump Force was this close. This close, I'm telling you.
Oh, dear.
And then The Outer Worlds
Yeah.
are probably another front runner of mine for my favourite game of the year. We will have our second annual Smoochie Awards.
Yes, so no spoilers.
No spoilers. I'm just giving my nominees.
It is definitely
Or am
up
I?
there. I'm torn because there's still so many great games that I haven't yet played. And The Outer Worlds, I'm just so itching to play. And I hope that I can get around to it soon. I've got to finish Pokemon. All right. Another category that we love, best score or music in a video game, and some pretty fantastic music in all of these games. Cadence of Hyrule, where you have to move to the rhythm of the music. In the Dungeon Crawler, Death Stranding, Devil May Cry 5, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Sayonara Wild Hearts.
All... Like a lot of these categories, there's not a weak link amongst them, fighting games aside, because Smash Brothers, I mean, obviously.
Kingdom Hearts 3 holds a very special place for us. Well, the Kingdom Hearts saga really in general, because...
In particular with their music.
The song Dearly Beloved, which I believe has made it into like every iteration, there's always like a different remix.
On the menu?
Yes.
The main menu?
And we used that at our wedding. I walked down the aisle. I feel like I've said this so many times on the podcast.
You can repeat it. It's allowed. They haven't heard you say it in like 25 hours of speech. It's fine.
So for us, I think that was more like the sentimental vote went to that. But understandably, taking home the award was Death Stranding, which has just got such a unique, interesting score.
Oh, rigged. Jeff Keighley again. I mean, to be fair, they did have a completely unfair advantage, Death Stranding did. Their composer's name is Ludwig. You can't compete against that.
It's like destiny to be a composer with that name. Best narrative. This is an interesting one because there's a lot of games that we're like, oh, that story was so good. And frankly, all of them, I mean, that's why they're nominated for these categories.
Yes.
A Plague Tale, Innocence, Control, Death Stranding, Disco Elysium, and The Outer Worlds all nominated for Best Narrative this year.
Of course. Jeff Keighley's done it again, hasn't he? Death Stranding, I'm sure, is going to win this one.
I think that is where it might have had some weakness because it's such a unique, slightly weird story.
The critics were there going... It's either confusing or we're just not intelligent enough to get ahead. Should we vote for it and say it is, just in case we're
Make you look
dumb?
more like an intellectuals. Hideo Kojima is a genius and he thinks on a totally different wavelength, I think, than most human beings. So, of course, his stories are beautiful and complex and so many layers and a lot of symbolism. But deservedly so, Disco Elysium coming out of left field to take home that award for Best Narrative. And boy, does it look trippy as well.
It is a sort of a top-down isometric view inspired by the wonderful games like Baldur's Gate and that era of Infinity Engine role-playing games that I adored. And the fact that I literally only heard of this game a few weeks ago, it has consistently made headlines that have caught my eye. I have seen review scores much higher than the average of this past 10 years. And now, Best Narrative and Best RPG.
And Best Indie Game of 2019.
Incredible.
Yep. We're a little bit salty about that win, but the goose can't win them all.
No, let's just talk about that for a moment. Goose had two
categories.
He had the highs and the lows, poor Goose. We had our eggs in the Goose basket for sure because we were certain with Goose's popularity. No one can deny how much Goose has invaded pop culture. Surely Surely, Indie Game of the Year goes to Untitled Goose Game. Surely, Fresh Indie Developer goes to House for Untitled Goose Game. And unfortunately, no. Thank you, Disco Elysium, for ruining Goose's headlines. However, Goose did steal the show.
Totally stole the show. Probably the best moment of the entire evening to present one of the awards. There were Muppets. Oh, Beaker was there. And Bunsen Honeydew.
The Professor.
Yes. And then Beaker went into virtual reality and played Untitled Beaker Game, which I think all of us now wish is like a real thing, and I believe we'll be demanding House make a patch.
Please, we want
Please add
Muppet
into the
DLC.
Make that happen. But then the goose chased him out of the game, but then somehow managed to escape the game.
Well, that Goose,
and became a Muppet.
you cannot contain Goose.
So good. And seeing Goose steal the card with all the nominees, the winner card with the announcement for that category off the Muppets, and then nearly kill Beaker was so entertaining.
I love a good Beaker torture. That's been my favourite thing about the Muppets for years.
I love the way he speaks.
Disco Elysium, to jump back to that for a second, to tell you the impact this game has had as far as narrative, RPG, critical acclaim for a fresh indie studio as well. Basically their first game.
Yep.
GameSpot.com gave Disco Elysium a 10 out of 10, which was their first 10 out of 10 perfect score since 2017.
Wow.
So think of all the great, fantastic games that have come out in the past 3 years or so.
Yeah.
And this is the first time they've given that score in that time frame. So, oh man, there is just too many games to play.
I know, right?
Not enough time to play them. But I promise you, Disco Elysium is on my radar, very much so.
One winner that I was super excited for was for Best Strategy Game, with games like Wargroove, Tropico 6, Total War 3 Kingdoms, Anno 1800, Age of Wonders, Planetfall. The winner, Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Hooray!
Yeah, baby! Love that game.
A game that you've probably, I would say, undeniably pumped the most hours into this year.
Yeah, easily. And there's still more to go. I haven't finished that second playthrough. I want to. But Pokemon has kicked that cartridge out. So I want to finish it. I want to get back to that. But I also want to play new things. Okay. Also interesting was there was a kind of tournament online that people could vote for.
Player's choice?
Yeah. That whittled down, and the winner of that, Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Which I find interesting because, again, I thought Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, with its fan base in particular, the amount of sales it has had, when the Player's Choice Award was narrowed down, Death Stranding, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and Smash Bros. Ultimate, I looked at that and thought, that's a lock. Smash Brothers for sure. But Fire Emblem
has a really strong fan base.
Nice work.
So, and I think it's grown. I think for those who maybe got put off from some of the earlier entries, like myself, and then came back to it, this has reignited our love for the series. It is a really great, solid game, even just on its own. It's so, so good. And it fixes a lot of the issues from earlier games. Anyways, so I'm happy for them. Best action game for 2019. We had Apex Legends, Astral Chain, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Gears 5, Metro Exodus, and taking home the award, Devil May Cry 5. And boy, were those guys so cute coming up to get their award. DMC
is back. There's just something about the quick, slick action that I don't care how good your shooter game is. If you can get an action game, Devil May Cry style, anything Platinum Games make, that is just so cool to watch and play, and just, it's undeniable that Devil May Cry 5 has been doing very well in critical and popular reviews.
Looking at some more family-type games, the best family game for 2019, well, I think it might have gone to something by Nintendo. There was Yoshi's Crafted World, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Super Mario Maker 2, Ring Fit Adventure, and Luigi's Mansion 3. Oh, wait, they're all Nintendo. And Luigi's Mansion 3 definitely clean sweeps that. It has been such a huge success. People saying not only is the single-player campaign so solid, but the multiplayer just adds so much extra fun to it. It's just been raved about.
It's crazy that the first Luigi's Mansion game came out on the GameCube in like 2001. Then the second one came out on the 3DS. And now, all these years later, it's like 18 years between 3 games for Luigi. Quality over quantity, unlike that stupid Mario brother of his, who's in every third game under the sun. You think Sonic has had bad spin-offs. Don't get me started on Mario's bad games, okay? That's an episode for a future title.
Excuse me. You will lose that battle.
Oh, bring it. I've got some aces up my sleeve.
But 2019 is definitely Luigi's year. I think we can both agree on that, yeah.
Yay, Luigi.
Another gaming mascot taking home some awards with the best sports racing game. There was FIFA, F1 2019, eFootball Pro Evolution Soccer, Dirt Rally 2.0, and winning this category, Crash Team Racing Natural Fuel.
That shouldn't have won. It's a remake.
Aren't they all when it comes to racing games these days?
It just proves that real sports games are boring and you need to have animated bandicoots to actually make a sports game enjoyable. It's not really my opinion. I just hammed that up for podcast entertainment. Please don't send hate mail my way. I do love Crash Team Racing, though, and if I do want to upset people, I have said many times I've always preferred Crash Team Racing to Mario Kart 64. So,
But it didn't have that to compete against this year. The best multiplayer game for 2019 nominees were Tetris 99, which I personally voted for, Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Borderlands 3, and Apex Legends taking home the prize.
Apex
No
Legends.
surprise there.
Respawn have had a good year.
Definitely. Here's an interesting one because it's still a category that I feel like doesn't have many games in it yet. It's obviously VR still feels a little gimmicky, but hopefully more and more, I think if people start to invest in it, it can become more of a solid, everyday thing and more affordable, hopefully, down the road and not wires everywhere. The best VR or augmented reality game, there was Asgard's Wrath or Wrath.
Yep.
Blood and Truth, No Man's Sky, Trover Saves the Universe, and Beat Saber. Which one?
Beat Saber, it looks pretty damn cool. My good buddy the Falcon has recently got a PSVR, has recently played pretty much every major title that has came out recently for it, including Beat Saber. He has been enjoying it and platinuming them, a lot of them. The platinum for Super Hot in particular, I think made him work up more of a sweat than he expected to. Now, you say there's not enough range of titles for this sort of thing?
Oh, it doesn't feel like it's based, like compared to just normal gaming, I guess, or standard gaming. It still feels rather small.
Okay. Purely taking PC virtual reality out of the equation,
Okay.
You know when I've got this voice on, it means I've got a point to prove. PlayStation VR games only, how many do you think there are?
100.
There are 641 titles currly out
What?
on the PlayStation VR.
How much of those are
Wikipedia
trash
page.
games, though,
Oh,
that
look,
are like
there's
gimmick?
free-to-play games.
Let's just show, ooh, look, we're using VR. Wow.
I'm in a room.
I'm going under the sea in a cage. Anyways, moving on to one of my favorite categories, which I was a little bit bummed that it kind of was rushed over during the actual awards ceremony.
I agree.
Anyways.
Best performance.
Yes.
Basically like the best acting award.
Exactly. One of the biggest categories in pretty much every other awards kind of show.
It seems like we're never happy with this award, are we? We are never happy with this award.
Well, last year, to be fair, we hadn't played. We didn't say that he didn't deserve it. We just weren't familiar with the performance. And now that you have played
Yes.
Red Dead Redemption 2,
Okay.
you know that he's earned it, right?
Fair.
To be fair, the winner of this category, we also have not played this game. And we know that everyone in it was incredibly solid actors, so we knew they were going to be amazing regardless. We were just salty because we had someone that we really love. We were biased, okay? So nominated, Ashley Birch from The Outer Worlds.
Ashley Birch as
Can you tell who we were
Parvati.
biased?
As Parvati from The Outer Worlds. Basically, I've never wanted to hug a character as much. I never wanted to just hang out and just...
She is an incredible voice actress.
Amazing.
Courtney Hope in Control as the main character Jessie. Laura Bailey in Gears 5. Matthew Peretta in Control. Norman Reedus in Death Stranding as the main character Sam.
Oh, thank goodness that didn't win. Or there would have been all sorts of accusations. Oh, Keely's at it again.
The winner was Mads Mikkelsen, who is an incredible actor, as Cliff in Death Stranding.
Oh, look. It obviously deserved it. No, I again, just like last year, I said Christopher Judge as Kratos should have won that. Untouchable performance. Then I played Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm like, okay, I can see why they picked this as performance of the year. Best performance. Take nothing away from Kratos. This year we've got a similar situation because we are yet to actually play Death Stranding. There's there's only so many hours to play games in a week. Best performance. What do we do here? IGN gave their award to Ashley Birch. I know that for a fact. And we thought that was the right choice.
Yes. Well, we love her. She's incredible. She's in so much stuff that we love. She's Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn.
She's Mayuri in Steins Gate. Did you know that?
I flip and love that character.
Now, Mads Mikkelsen is kind of cool. He's kind of creepy looking.
He does a really good job playing villains.
I'm excited to see what his performance is. They have set quite the bar for Mr. Mads. Mr. Mikkels, Mr. Mikkel Madston.
It just made me sad because obviously he wasn't available to be there to accept the award in person. Otherwise, they would have been zooming on him all night, going, look at the celebrity that's here. It's just, I guess it's a shame for me, because to me, all the other voice actors are just as incredible actors as the ones that have more notoriety. And I don't want them to be overlooked because they're not famous Hollywood actors. You know, I get protective of them.
Yeah, no, I get you. I think that it's sort of like when the Ratchet and Clank movie came out.
Yes.
And instead of headlining James Arnold Taylor as the titular character Ratchet,
Yes.
no, we had Sylvester Stallone and someone I can't remember who. I've repressed.
It was a pretty crap movie.
Those memories. But yes, the voice actors who do excellent work should get more credit than just a Hollywood actor performing a voice.
Yeah.
Now, if Mads Mikkelsen deserves this performance award, I will eat those words faster than an analogy that I can't think of on the spot. I'll do it quicker than that. But they have just set themselves up to fail here. Ashley Birch, if you play The Outer Wilds, I did it again. The Outer Worlds, darn it. If you play The Outer Worlds and you do not like Parvati, you have no soul and are more evil looking than Mads Mikkelsen. I don't know. Let's move on.
I just wanted to finish with this point. I feel like because he wasn't there, that's why they glossed over this category.
Yes.
Because to me, this is a main category. It shouldn't have been rushed
last
through.
year. It was last year.
Yeah.
Because that was accepted on stage. One thing Death Stranding wise, though, that did get an award, I am happy it got this award purely because of what happened several years ago at the Game Awards where Kojima was not invited.
He was locked in a room.
He was invited. He was not allowed to go. And now, free of the chains of Konami, Hideo Kojima has made his own project and won Best Game Direction. And I don't care what you think of Jeff Keighley and Hideo Kojima's bromance. I don't care what you think of Hideo
You're doing well, love.
Kojima's weirdness or any of his occasional
Perviness.
Yeah, perviness. Good terminology. His direction as a director, I think, is incredible.
And it's going to be...
That's just my opinion.
It's the kind of stuff, especially when you look at his past work as well, from PT to the Metal Gear Solid series.
Perfect.
Like, he's created an incredible legacy. And I think Death Stranding, while weird, yes, I think it's going to be a game that will probably grow over time and be considered like a cult classic. That's just my prediction, putting that out there.
And Hideo does still want to make a good horror game.
You can play that.
Terrifying.
Frankly, Death Stranding looks freaky enough for me. That might creep me out a little bit too much. But you should play it. That should be on your list of games to play that are like dad simulators.
Oh
That
my gosh.
and Yakuza 0.
I'll just go through that whole Father's Day episode we did and just tick all the boxes.
Oh dear. Let's quickly cover esports because even though we may not be as into that scene, we know that there are plenty of people that listen to this podcast that do love it. So for you guys, best esports game went to League of Legends. No surprise there. Best esports coach was Zonic for Astralis.
What did you say?
Zonic, not Sonic.
Oh, sorry. I thought I heard something interesting.
The best esports event, according to them, in 2019 was League of Legends World Championship. Clearly, they did not come to the one here in Melbourne.
No.
Best esports team, G2 Esports for League of Legends. And best esports player of the year, who was actually very sweet the way he accepted his award. A little bit better than last year's winner, let's just put it that way. Bugha, Kyle Gersdorf.
That's Bugha. Bugha. Very nice work. So lots of awards going around, lots of winners. Some we agree with, some we may not. But look, it is just an award ceremony. We can't get hung up on who's right and who's wrong.
Everyone has their personal tastes.
We have our opinions.
Yeah.
Critics have their opinions. They're in the industry to a deeper degree than we are, probably.
Yes.
Probably.
No one sends us free games.
That's right. So they are welcome to use their wealth of experience and knowledge and, use their critic brain to assess what is the critically game of the year, action game of the year, RPG of the year. It's all good. And what some people I think have to understand is people can have different opinions. And that's okay.
Yes.
It's not a negative thing if someone likes something and you like something else.
And just because some of our favourites didn't win doesn't mean that they're still not like the top of their field. Being nominated is still a great honour. We're so proud of House and Untitled Goose Game for being on that kind of world stage.
Oh no, I take everything back. That was absolute garbage. House was robbed. Goose Game should have won.
We'll be back with all the highlights and special announcements from the Game Awards right after this.
Share the love. Follow us on Twitter at Brendo and Jem. That's BRENDOJEM.
Well, one of my favourite things about any of these video game presentations, whether they be award shows or not, is of course the big reveals that we get. And the Game Awards was not lacking in big reveals.
Definitely had quite a few, some world premieres, but also some big kind of secretive corporate announcements that just went bam. Like the new Xbox Series X.
There it is.
There it is.
The Xbox Series X. Can somebody at Microsoft please learn to name a console well? I mean, they're getting into Nintendo territory with some of these titles now. It's just getting confusing. That doesn't sound like a different console. This is the Wii U again. This is the Xbox One. Now we've got the Xbox Series X.
It looks different.
It does.
It looks more like a tower.
Looks like a subwoofer.
It does a little bit. But I actually like its appearance much better than the Xbox One personally. The thing I'm concerned about is that we always tend to shorten the names of consoles to acronyms and the like. And I don't know what they're going to do with that.
We'll just go with XSX, okay? Phil Spencer was there to unveil this new look for the Xbox Series X. I forgot what it was even called for a second there. And even showed some in-game footage from another Hellblade game from Ninja Theory.
Yes.
Senua's Saga.
It looks so good. It was almost creepily crisp. There's one part in the trailer where this like chick is chanting, and just the muscle movements and just was watching. Her mouth was hypnotizing and a little creepy, which I think is part of the point of that trailer, but also just how clear it was. It looked a little almost too real.
Yeah. I hate to tell you, but if you say anybody's mouth is mesmerizing, you're probably the creepy one.
Not long after that, though, Counterpunch from PlayStation. We already knew that PlayStation 5 was on the horizon, but it got confirmed, and it is coming holiday next year, so around next Christmas or so. That was announced with the trailer Godfall right at the end, just in small little letters. PlayStation 5.
Brand new IP from Gearbox.
Yes.
And it did say PlayStation 5. Very interesting. There was a dude called Keith Lee there to present that. A different Keith Lee than I know from WWE NXT.
Yep.
Much different physiques. But it looks to be interesting, like another loot slasher. Solo co-op, whatever you'd like. So we'll have to wait and see. I like brand new IP. Not everything has to be remakes and sequels.
Well, I do like sequels of series that I like.
Of course.
Like Bravely Default 2. So it's still very early. No kind of release date as yet, but just a lot of pretty art showing, I guess, scenery of different towns that you can explore and 4 of the party members at the end. So, yeah.
Yeah, they know how to make those classic RPG games, don't they, Square Enix? One quick little thing, there was also the adorable Ikumi Nakamura.
Oh my gosh.
Being just the most adorable presenter you can possibly hope for. No translator, nothing. She took to it solo, and she's charmed everybody.
So cute. If you haven't seen the Game Awards, at the very least, go on YouTube and type in Ikumi Nakamura Game Awards 2019. So cute. She's just always dancing on stage, but just...
she has energy.
She is, yes. And she was not shy. She was just so much fun to watch. So adorable. I want to adopt her.
Fortnite and Star Wars, what are your thoughts?
I can understand that it is a strategic PR move because there are so many people that play Fortnite.
The last time they did a live event, a live concert inside Fortnite, they had 10 million players log in to enjoy it.
Wow.
So the fact that they are cross-promoting the new Star Wars movie inside Fortnite with J.J. Abrams and Jeff Keighley are going to be in the game live.
In animated versions, I guess.
So confusing.
Yes, and a special trailer, like special sneak footage. But not just that. There's going to be Star Wars components in the game from special TIE gliders, I think they were calling them. I want to call them TIE fighters because that sounds more natural.
Whispers.
Okay. So it was a really interesting strategic move on their part to do that this past weekend.
Very cool. In an interesting twist, I was checking out which games I had been playing in 2019 as Smoochie's research for a few episodes from now. And basically the first game I played this year was The Forest with my good buddy the Falcon, co-op run. We started that on about the 30th of December last year, rolling into the new year, and played for most of January. And I texted him about an hour before the Game Awards saying, hey, we were playing The Forest. Remember how good that was? Well, we had a trailer for Sons of the Forest. It looked
Creepy.
like The Forest, but with better graphics, which when you're playing a horror game can sometimes make it a little more terrifying. It looks pretty good. And as long as it is anything similar to the first one, I will be all over that like a cannibal attacking my base.
Yes. So much crossover at the Game Awards this year with Hollywood as far as cross-promotion. A lot of big celebrities promoting their movies, but also at the same time either presenting or doing special little vignettes, I guess, for the awards, including Harley Quinn.
A new Birds of Prey trailer.
Yes. Which looked interesting. It looks funny. I hope that it focuses heavily on the comedy side of things for that movie. But obviously Harley Quinn, I feel like her home belongs in video games and stuff like that. That's where she became such a beloved character. I mean, obviously the comics. But as far as really fleshing her out, and I think people becoming attached to her video game iterations are some of the best.
Yeah, and stylistically as well. The
Yes.
Arkham games.
Totally.
I love her outfit from those games.
And I feel like a lot of people will
not
compare,
in a creepy way.
you know, comparing Margot Robbie's performances with Tara Strong because it's that
yes.
iconic. It's like people comparing, any Joker performance with Mark Hamill or Kevin Conroy for Batman. So, yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm looking forward to that. But moving on.
We saw behind the music for Cyberpunk 2077, and of course, all the artists I listen to are on it, like Refused and Grimes and Run the Jewels and ASAP Rocky.
So
and
many ones I have never
Nina
heard
Kravitz,
of. I feel old.
Deadly Hunter and Rat Boy. Don't forget Rat Boy.
What a great name.
And Tina Gual. I mean, obviously, if you're not listening to those, you're not as cool as us, right? Did I pronounce them right? I have no idea.
Probably not. But then we got another live performance. There was a couple throughout the evening. This one was trippy, and I felt like it very well could have just been lip synced because it was so synthesized.
Just looked like dance performance.
Pretty
I didn't
much.
know what I was watching.
But very artsy as well. But I guess it's fitting with the game. So you've got to respect that.
And it's better than an awkward 7 minutes guitar performance like the start of The Last of Us 2 reveal at E3 a few years ago.
And then they showed Elon Musk in the crowd going to stand up to
Going
give
to
a
do a
standing.
standing ovation and
And
no one else did.
joined him, and so he sat back down. And they caught all of that on film. Gotta love live television and streaming.
Nice work. Just Elon Musk just showing
See,
up.
moments like that I love. I love when things get a bit awkward because it cracks me up. Like when people don't get off the stage when the music starts playing them off, which happened quite early on in the show too.
Interestingly enough, there was a reveal that I should have been more excited for, but really I wasn't wowed. Let's put it that way. I am a significant Dungeons and Dragons nerd. And I have so plenty amount of Drizzt Do'Urden books. And there is a new game which is going to feature the Drizzt characters. And gosh, that was a bad trailer, wasn't it? Was it just me? Was that a bad trailer?
There were a couple of bad trailers, unfortunately. A couple that were just kind of like, they made such a big deal of, ooh, world premiere, special exclusive, and then moments. I think there were a lot of other big surprises that we're kind of holding our breath for. And there weren't as many genuine surprises as I think there was last year at the Game Awards. I could be remembering incorrectly, but I feel like I had more moments of, oh, wow, last year than this year.
Yeah. Now, do you agree that trailer for Dark Alliance, which should have been everything I've ever wanted in a game, we could play cooperatively
It was a bit
as
weird.
the companions of the Hall.
It was a bit weird.
It was terrible.
I mean, as much as having a solid video game series about, I know we always say his name wrong, but I don't care, Drizzt and his friends, I think would be incredible. Or even like a Netflix series like they're giving The Witcher.
Yep.
It's got solid enough story. It could do so well if it was done right. It
If
could
it
be
was
the
done
next
right.
Lord of the Rings, in my opinion. But anyways,
You want to talk weird ads? Can we just quickly mention those Google Stadia ads
oh
that we
my
saw?
gosh, that was so strange. And I think
There was a man who became a canoe and people rode in him.
I'm like, obviously they're leaning into that of let's be super weird, but I don't know. I'm like, are they trying to be so goofy weird to make themselves meme worthy? It felt like they're almost trying too hard to be weird.
Oh boy.
That's how it felt to me anyway. I
Oh,
could be
boy.
wrong. Maybe people loved it. I wasn't so keen.
I mean, they told us how easy it is to use it.
Not in Australia.
No, not in Australia. Stick your cloud in your electric air.
Oh, man. Another world premiere from Wolf Eye Studios, a Western type game and a bit of sci-fi called The Weird West. a top-down style point of view action RPG, very stylish.
Mm-hmm.
So
Weird West.
yeah, we didn't get much as far as narrative, but it looked interesting. So I think for a premiere and for a teaser, it did a good job.
Mm-hmm. One of the other big reveals that was featured in both the State of Play and the Game Awards.
Yes.
Ghosts of Tsushima.
Yes.
From Sucker Punch.
Mm-hmm.
Which looks like, what, Sekiro crossover with God of War, maybe? I don't know. It looks interesting.
It looks like a bit of a revenge action RPG-esque type game.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting because I remember the first trailer that they played at the PlayStation State of Play, they were saying like you hear them say samurai, and I'm like, oh, is this Japanese? But then it sounded like they were speaking maybe Chinese or something else, and the
Mongolian,
helmets
maybe.
and stuff. I'm like, that doesn't look quite Japanese to me. I'm like, maybe I just don't know my cultures as well as I thought I did. But then the other guy appears and he's the samurai, and I'm like, oh, that makes more sense now.
He wasn't just saying his own title. Name your job. Samurai! It looks pretty good, though.
It does.
Just
a little
from early visions.
gruesome, but that is the way of games these days. See, I have such a struggle being
There's
a gamer these days.
So
because
much blood.
There is.
That's why we like Goose.
That's why we love
He doesn't
Goose.
leave bodies behind. Honk.
He puts them in the pond.
Oh, gosh. You made it so dark. Let's talk about something less violent like Gears Tactics, which basically just looks like XCOM.
Yes.
And if you're going to copy something, you better do it better than the original, which I'm not convinced.
Or at least just as well.
I'm not convinced it's going to be anywhere near as good as XCOM.
But you know what copied XCOM but did it really good?
Mario
versus Rabbids.
and freaking Rabbids. So who am I to judge?
You just never know. It was nice to see Reggie back again, though, even though he's officially kind of retired.
No longer an executive.
No, he's
Still a fan. Still an ambassador.
Yes, as he said. That he will always love games and want to talk about that games can be a force for good and a force for fun. I love that quote.
It was a good little speech.
Yeah.
If Muppet Goose was number one exciting moment, one of the reveals that we're yet to talk about yet, possibly my second most favourite moment, I think Reggie's speech was third.
Yeah. He's so good. I mean, everybody loves Reggie, I think, at this point. He's kind of like hit gaming god status.
You can't not love Reggie.
He's so sweet and he always talks so well and so clearly. And
So well and so clearly. He was wearing sunglasses and said the Reggie Philomech is here. So how could you not like that?
And I loved that as he was talking about the fresh indie games that he was basically revealing the most important award of the night, you know, the future of gaming, these small indie developers, the future. And I loved that, you know. I think especially because so many AAA titles with big companies and those with the bigger budgets play it almost too safe these days and want to go with what's frankly a little Hollywood.
Yeah.
Indie games are so much more original and fresh and innovative. So it's so cool to have someone as big and renowned in the industry as Reggie to say this is where the future of gaming is. Even if Ashley Birch didn't win Best Performance, she did get to come out on stage to present the award for Best Gaming Direction. And she just looks so cute and short.
We're not talking about the award on this part, but
I just wanted to know. She just looks so cute. I know it's like, for me, it was a highlight, okay? So we're talking about highlights. That was one of them for me. I like short people. I can relate.
okay.
Closing off the night, though, it became a bit fast and furious.
Oh, why was that? Because Jason Statham was there from the Transporter? No, he's actually in Thingy and Hobbs, isn't he?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, gosh. My own joke got ruined by the Fast and Furious
I
franchise.
mean, at this stage, pretty much almost every actor has been in one of those movies, right? There's so
That's
many
it.
of them.
Michelle Rodriguez, Vin Diesel,
Yep.
two
Both-
big gamers,
Yes. Huge gaming nerds.
here to present the Fast and Furious game, which, to be honest, looks like it runs on about a PS2, but we're not going to go there.
Those kind of games, frankly, never usually very good. But we're still nice to them because when you have celebrities that genuinely love the industry like fans do, there will always be some mutual respect there. If you've got ones that come in and don't really care about gaming but are there for the money, they will get booed off the stage.
Now, before we finish up, possibly the reveal that we popped for the loudest during the Game Awards was the world premiere of Bigby Wolf making his return. The Wolf Among Us 2.
Yes.
A game that we thought we would never see.
I'm so happy.
Thanks to Telltale Games going under and basically killing the franchise in its collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's back, and Telltale Games is still on the title board, so I'm so confused.
And I believe rescued by Warner Brothers. I think I saw that logo come up at the end.
There are a few logos up there.
Yeah.
The Unreal Engine being one of them, so it's not going to use the same old janky Telltale's engine.
No. But I wonder if they have, like, saved some of the writers from the old Telltale developing studio.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of integrated them into their own. Because, frankly, they were a talented bunch of people, however mismanaged everything else was.
Yep.
Those incredible writers and game makers, I think, I'm hoping that they've all found happy homes since, like rescuing puppies. Find their forever gaming developing home.
Very cool. So Bigby Wolf and crew back for the Wolf Among Us 2. Very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting. My darling.
Mm.
That was the Game Awards. Was it worth watching?
I had fun. I think I enjoyed last year's a little more than this year.
Mm-hmm.
But tell you what, those Muppets, they stole the show.
They made it all
Goose.
worthwhile.
Oh,
Muppet Goose.
I mean, I wonder if someone had told House before they released the game that by this point that the game would be so iconic and so famous.
The
and
Muppets want
meme-worthy.
in.
Yes.
Muppets want in.
Muppets are so iconic and they've been around for yonks, so that makes me so happy.
Very cool.
Yay. Oh, what a week it has been.
Mm.
Or 2 weeks, really, for us.
Shh. Keep the illusion. It's only been a week.
All right, it is time now to wrap up the show with our future gaming goals.
Share the love. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegaminglovers.
Okay, we are going to set each other's gaming goals this week.
Uh-huh.
My dear Jem, you have to beat Pokemon Shield before next episode. Don't think about how busy our week is. That's your goal.
Oh. I'm just going to take it everywhere I go. I just be walking through the supermarket, catching Pokemon.
Do you agree with the goal? Do you accept its terms?
I accept.
Is it doable?
Hopefully.
I think so.
I hope so. Your challenge, then,
Mm-hmm.
if we're going to play it like that, is to beat Greedfall.
Is it doable?
Is it doable? I don't know where you're up to.
How long was your save file when you finished? Mine's like 20 hours.
Much longer than that.
Oh, wonderful.
Sorry, work. I'm still sick with tummy flu.
I don't think that's how it works. I don't think I can say that on the air. I think that's evidence that can be used against me for termination. Then I'll have more time to beat Greedfall. Oh, it's all part of the plan. No, that's terrible.
Yeah, please keep your job.
I will do my best because I kind of wish that I had all those hours to play video games while I was sick. I spent a lot of time recovering, half watching, half sleeping through games done quick runs, speed runs of Bloodborne, Banjo-Kazooie, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 7, everything and anything that I have played and knew the spoilers of. I was watching speed runs to kill the time and to help me kill the germs that were in me. But I wish I had that for video games. Instead, this week, I'm a little busy, but at least I have a brain that works and doesn't hurt. So I'm going to go play some games right now. I'm going to go play some Greedfall right now.
Sounds
and
good.
I better hop to it because I've got some ground to cover in that game, let me tell you.
Talk fast.
I'm out of here. That's pretty much it. That's my farewell. House was robbed. Keeley, he's done it again. He's got he probably rigged it. He doesn't like the Goose's popularity. It's his game's award show, not the Goose's.
Until next week. Bye, Nara.
Chowski. And we will be back next week. Promises will be made.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.